going on, guys? As always, it's Seth Keith here with a gentle trip, and we got stand-up comedian, comic in the room today, Griffin Sciarra.
What's up? Nice to be here.
Nice to see you again. So we'll jump right into it. I'm pretty curious on how all this stuff works, man.
Fair enough.
So
ask away.
So, born and raised in Seymour?
Yes, sir. Born and raised in Seymour. Went to Seymour High School. I go to Ball State now, but I love Seymour.
Awesome, man. What is your major?
My major is journalism, a concentration in magazine media. So I do lots of like longer stories, nothing like hard news, like obituaries. This person died. This mayor did crack. Nothing anything like that. It's all like longer form. No, not even that. It's like longer form. Like it's more like public relations stuff about businesses and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew that you wanted to be a comic before you went to school?
No, because if I would have, I probably wouldn't have went to school.
Okay.
I started August of 2018, sophomore year for me in college. It started after an internship I hate at shout out Ice and Manufacturing.
Oh.
They showed me that I didn't want to go into the real world, so I did that. Yeah, it was awful. I did that, hated my life for a summer, and the thing that kept me from jumping off a building was watching stand-up, and then I kept watching it, and I started writing jokes. And then when I got to school in Muncie at the end of August, I tried out an open mic that was on Ball State's campus. And I haven't quit since. I've been doing it about 4 or 5 times a week, not counting Corona, since August 2018. So I'm obsessed.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
So that first open mic was that was the moment that you knew, bam, I want to be a comic? Or
I don't know if it was I knew I wanted to be a comic, but I knew I wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
I got enough laughs, and you have enough delusion at the beginning to be like, oh, I'm not bad at this. And you're horrible. No,
sure.
Yeah, you're definitely horrible. I think because I'm actually friends with the guy that hosted that night. But that night I asked him, I was like, man, when can you headline and start getting paid? Like, what a cocky piece of garbage I am.
Yeah.
I think that's good though when you're that naive at the beginning, because if you knew how bad you were the first time you went, you'd never get up.
Be a little discouraged.
Yeah.
So do you think that being a comic, is that something that you can just teach yourself to do, or do you think that you have to be born with a certain gift or at least something?
So I think the most important thing isn't funny. The most important thing is perseverance, I think. You have to be able to bomb and get up and get up and get up. But I don't know if you have to be born funny, but you have to be born obsessed with comedy. Because if you're going to drive an hour to do an open mic in front of 4 people and not do well, you have to be obsessed with comedy. And that's what keeps me in it, you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't know. Born funny, who's to say? Just watch comedy and write original jokes and hope for the best.
Oh, wow. So you're you do a lot of open mics, or do you do
lots of open mics? Get paid very occasionally, but anytime someone books you on, even if you're not paid, but if they might book you where actual audiences are coming, and it'll be a booked show, and it's not an open mic, and it won't be a 4-hour long whatever. Anytime you can get in front of real people is good. So that's always this weekend. I got booked to do a show. This friend of mine from Muncie was like, I'm doing a show in Anderson, and shows are so light right now because of COVID and stuff. It's anytime anyone offers me anything, I'm doing it. I'm taking it. So I have my house in Muncie. I drive up there, and then I drive to Anderson the night of. And he had me. He said free food, free drinks, and $20. And I was like, okay, sold. You know what I mean? Beggars cannot be choosers. I performed in front of 3 blacked out people last week. So I go there, and he forgot to mention that it was a biker bar. So not my demographic. If by looking at me, I'm not a biker bar comic. So it's at a biker bar, and the guy that booked me, I'm talking to him. He's wearing full leather and everything. I'm like, where's your bike? He's like, well, I don't have a bike yet. It's you're in a biker gang. That's the only qualification you need to be in a whatever.
I mean, technically, I think if you don't have a bike, you're not in a biker gang.
No, yeah, I don't think you are. But that didn't make any sense to me. But I didn't know. But I was performing for just all these bikers and their girlfriends. And it was an initiation night for some people. So while I was on stage, there were 3 of the biker gang members in makeup, wigs, and dresses, just standing up there. And it's classy drag whenever they're filling their bra with cigarette packs.
Yeah.
So that's what they were doing. And of course they were not paying attention at all because they're lunatic bikers,
I mean, was this like a Sons of Anarchy like initiation?
See,
like,
that's what he said. As soon as I got
like
this,
some hardcore bikers.
I've never
or-
seen Sons of Anarchy, but apparently Sons of Anarchy is bringing about a lot of negative stereotypes to the biker community.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I come in, they're all like, "We're not like Sons of Anarchy. We're not running cocaine." I was like, "Didn't think you were," and that sounds exactly like someone who is running cocaine would
It
say.
does, yeah.
Right?
Did you ask them if they had any?
I did not. I should have. That's what they should have paid me.
For
in.
sure,
I
dude.
could sell it on the black market. But yeah, performed with that was probably my weirdest show, and it happened last week. People in a dress behind me, and they would yell out while it's like, "You're a foot from me. Come on, you can't yell out during the show."
Yeah.
But to get their attention, at one point I got on a guy's back in the dress and just like was telling my joke, just being dumb, telling my joke on this guy's back, and he fell backward, and I fell right on my back. And I've been driving like 15, 16 hours a week for 2 years, just like doing shows and stuff.
Of course.
And my back hurts like hell all the time.
Jeez.
And I landed on my back. Ugh, it was not a fun time.
So when you do like a booking show, do they reach out to you to book you, or is that something
It's
that
a
you...
lot of, it's all, see, the problem with like everything is networking. No matter what like field you get into, it's all like about who you know.
For sure.
It's not about who's funniest because there's no freaking funny meter.
Yeah.
You have to like make friends with people that book shows. And that's how I get it. They'll reach out to me or I'll reach out to them. I see you have this show coming up, like something like that. But I think once you just have to be in it. Like if you want to start, like go to your first open mic, make friends. So in Indiana, Facebook is big. That's where I find out about all the shows. It's Facebook. There's Facebook groups, group messages, all that stuff. But yeah, you just got to get in it and friend people and just talk about stuff, and you'll learn about shows and all that.
So what's your biggest show you've ever done?
But like most people,
Yeah, biggest just...
yeah. So the most people I've performed in front of is probably like, I probably have like it's a tie for two. So this guy actually, shout out Brad Rigler, RWC Roast World Championship. He started these roast battles, and they started off in like small bars, and they got like bigger every once in a while. I actually went to Pittsburgh with him. That was crazy. But at Crackers Comedy Club in Indianapolis, he booked that room for a bunch of roasts, and everybody sold tickets and stuff. Like I think I sold 10 tickets or whatever, but they packed it out. I mean, I think there were over 200 people there.
Oh, wow.
And there was a huge cage on the stage. We were like in a cage roasting each other. I got to roast my friend Devon. That was in front of a buttload of people. And then this summer, Helium Comedy Club's like Indiana's Funniest Competition. I performed in like the prelims or whatever. I made it to the next round.
Nice.
Then I lost because I suck. But that night, I bet there were, and it was socially distanced and stuff because it was like this summer, you know.
Yeah.
But I bet there were 100 people there, 80 people there. I don't know. Anytime I can get in front of more than 20, it's really important because like the more people are, the more different types of senses of humor, like the more you'll know, like, does this joke work? And that's why like the biker show sucks so much because it's like all these people have the same type of sense of humor. Like they want to snap somebody's neck and do cocaine off a bike seat or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you want like a broader range of people. You want different colors, different genders. You want everything. So then you can like have broader jokes and like see if it's actually funny. And that's why like I think some of the places that I perform in Indiana, like Anderson and stuff like that, it's like it's all just like super white, super Republican people. Like that's why it's fun to go to Indy. It's fun to like go to different places. I like to go to Louisville. Like every audience is different, and you just want a lot of people there.
That makes sense.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So do you actually write your jokes or write like an idea of what you're gonna say, or?
Yeah. So up until like honestly until the last few months, I was a big like word for word guy because like I'm journalism and everything like that. Like I'm a big writer douche loser. Like I'm not good at improvisation. Like it's all like writing it word for word, like the funniest word at the end of this line. Like this is the setup, this is the punchline. Like super formulaic. And that helped me at the beginning get the courage to just like get on stage. Like I have my jokes, like, but the fun and like the sort of like stuff that audiences take with them is like the improvised stuff, the stuff that only happens. That's why you want to go to live shows because like you could just wait for someone's show on Netflix or whatever, but it's like you want to go live because you'll never know like about when this guy makes fun of the guy in the front row or stuff like that, you know?
Right.
So that's a part of comedy that I've been learning like lately, and that helps you have more fun with it. Like now I have my general idea and I know where I'm going with it, but it's like you also have to like have some fun in the room because it's supposed to be fun.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my first couple months, I had no fun because I'm nervous. I'm worried about this. You know what I mean? And it's like, what's the point of doing comedy if it's not going to be really fun?
Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not, I get that, man. Like here with the podcast for us, this is a lot of social networking, and I mean, I get nervous too. Not so much whenever we're actually live and together, you know, but anytime I shoot anything by myself and it's just me in front of a camera, it's so weird because I don't know who to talk to. You know what I mean? But
that's the craziest thing about like nerves. I feel that it's like nerves and worry and all that. It's only before. During, you're fine. Like, because then you've already started. Like, you've started riding the bike. No big deal. Burp into the mic. But like, that's pretty decent, right? But like, yeah, you're all in your own head before you do it, and you're gonna be all in your own head after you do it. But during, like, enjoy it because it's like, fuck it, you got to do something.
Yeah,
playing music. I mean, you kind of get the same thing. Like, not so much anymore, but if it's definitely like a big show, you still get a little nervous before. But then, like, as soon as you hit the stage and start doing your thing, you just enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's muscle memory. Like, you're locked in. Like, I find myself, like, yesterday I was doing a new joke, and when you do a new joke, like, I'm all worried about that. Like, I could care less about, and what I always do, like, I sandwich it, like, when I have the new joke, I'm sandwiching it by old jokes that work, because then if the new joke works, then I really know that I have something cooking. You know what I mean? But it's like, as I'm doing a joke I've done 100 times, like, I'm not even thinking about the words. I'm thinking about what I'm about to say. You know what I mean? And it's like, you get into that situation of, like, thinking ahead or whatever. And that's a cool spot to be in, but, like, that's fun to, like, be worried about the new joke. And that's why, like, when I see these people that have been doing the same 5 minutes for a year and a half, it's like, there's no way you're having fun. But I'm sure you run into that with music. There are people that, like, want to be musicians so they can say they're musicians, so they can, like, in their social media bio, they can say, like, have a guitar emoji. But it's like, you don't want to do the work. Like, the fun part is the work and writing and performing. Like,
funny story about that. A few years ago, and I don't even remember the kid's name, but there was a kid from around here who did, like, acoustic, and he would always post videos online and everything. And I remember going to this kid's page on Facebook, and he had like 20 or 30,000 likes. Never played a show.
dang.
He bought it all. He paid for all of
The
likes.
followers and the stuff. Oh yeah, that's
and I'm
disgusting.
like, how
The
can
clout.
how can you like say you're a musician and do all this, post all these videos talking about all this stuff you got coming up, and you're not doing any of the work? You're just paying for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's irritating. But you're right. I mean, I'm sure it goes the same way with the comedy world. There's people out there that want to say they're a comedian or want to do this, want to do that, but they're not out there in the trenches putting in the work.
Yeah, and there are people that just want to, they say they want to be comedians, but it's like, no, you just want to drink somewhere. Like, you just want to drink with these people or whatever. But it's like people like that, like, buy likes or whatever. Because that's what people always ask me, like, why don't you post anything online? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because I'm not good at it yet. Like, there's a work in progress, and I don't want to put anything out there that's, like, unfinished. And nothing you've done when you're 22 is finished. That's I don't think, right? Like,
it's a good way to look at it.
But, like, people's, I have no idea. I think I just lost my train of thought. But I'm a lunatic.
I would imagine that when it comes to, like, comedy, that you're almost never finished. I mean, there's always,
everybody says a joke is never done. Like, Gary Goldman, the great Gary Goldman. If anybody wants to be a stand-up comedian, read his tips on Twitter. But I think he says a joke is never done when the audience is mouthing it with you. Then it's done. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's something that I really had trouble with my first couple months in comedy. Is that, like, you can't do a completely different set every night. It'll be horrible if you do a completely different set every night. But that's, like, the tough thing with jokes. Like, once you hear it, it's like that element of surprise is so important in humor, and you've lost it when your audience has already heard that joke. But you have to learn a way to, like, keep yourself excited about it and, like, tinkering with it and stuff. But it's like, if you try to tell new jokes every single night, like, you'll just forget it all. Like, it won't.
Right.
You have to build. And, like, there's times when I've been telling the same joke one way for, like, a month and it's doing okay. But then I think of something on stage and you say something after, and it takes a joke to a whole new level. But it's like, if you would have quit telling that joke a week in, you never would have got that.
Yeah, for sure. I know that a lot of the comics, you know, the big headliners, the killers and everybody, who are headlining once every 6 months and going on tour twice a year. I know that they talk a lot about, you know, to them a big crowd, you know, thinking about like 4,000 people.
Yeah.
And they like doing the small comedy club shows because then it gives them an opportunity to try out new content.
Right. Yeah, and that's with those touring guys, it's like when you're doing a theater tour, like you have to have an hour, because if 4,000 people are going to buy your tickets, like you have to have a great hour of comedy.
For sure.
That's why they like work it out in like Los Angeles or New York on just like 15-minute spots. Like you build up your hour, and then you might take it to some like 300-seat clubs. But like then these big famous, like if you're gonna do an actual tour, you have to have your material ready. And I'm like so early in my career, I have like no material ready. I feel like I have 20 minutes, but like then someone's like, hey, do a 20-minute spot, and then I run through 20 minutes and 12 minutes. You know what I mean? Like you never have as much as you think you have. You're never as good as you think you are. And like I'm at this weird position right now, like as I'm so new, like you're obviously getting better at comedy. Like there's jokes of mine that are 6 months old, and I'm like, well, that joke sucks compared to what I have now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that makes it so hard to like build up material, because it's like you're constantly outgrowing old stuff. Yeah. So I feel like I've continuously just had like 8 minutes the last like 9 months. Like,
so what's at this level of comedy that you're at? What's the average set time usually? Is there an average? Or
so
does it...
at open mics, like it's usually 5. Last night the open mic was 8. And COVID obviously makes it weirder. Like last night there weren't that many people, and he was just like so excited people were back. He was like, do 8 minutes. Okay. The other night when I got paid at the biker bar, I did 20 minutes, and that felt like a year, because they're yelling at me and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, typically you can expect, and that's the cool thing about starting in Indiana. You usually will get longer time. Like if you started in a big city, it might be a 3-minute or 2-minute open mic or whatever. But usually 5 or 6. And then if you get booked, usually like 10, 15, 20. Okay. Then if you're like headlining, you'll do an hour, obviously. Right.
So when you're not doing like open mics or events, I mean, do you like, is this something that you work on and it's time consuming, or do you have like people that you get with and collab? Or
I have a friend that I'll text with, but I wish he didn't live in Indy, because we'd meet and talk jokes. I run stuff by my parents all the time. I'll call my brother. My brother is the joke killer. I'll call him and he'll be like, that's not funny at all. And I'm like, thanks, buddy. Like, but
at least he's honest.
Yeah, no, he's very honest. And then, but see, my mom's the complete opposite. She'll laugh at anything. Like, but yeah, I try to sit down and write, because it's like I think of stuff in the shower, and then I get all like the random inspiration when I'm in the car and just like thinking about stuff. But I think you have to like sit down and kind of try and force it out a little bit too. At least even just I'll set a timer like 30 minutes. That's my cap. Like sometimes an hour. But like it's really romantic to be like, oh, it just comes to me. Like and it comes to me when I'm in the car, man, or when I'm showering on the way to the venue. But it's like, I think that's just an excuse to go up with nothing. Like I think you have to squeeze something out, even if it's an unfun way, like sitting with an open notebook or sitting with an open laptop, you know?
Really? So you don't think that you hold any of the content that you come up with in the shower? Or?
No, I do. I'll write it down. And I've got notepads everywhere. Like, if I think of it, I'm writing it down.
Oh,
and I'm trying to... And if I think of something when I, like, can't get to a notebook, like, I'll type it in my phone, and this is what I like to do. Like, when I think of that thing in the shower, I'll write it down, and then whenever I have time to sit down for an hour, I'll like think about it and write and like try and get everything out of it. And like when I was writing yesterday, and I got down this like Wikipedia rabbit hole, and then I was like reading kids' encyclopedia facts about this thing, and then suddenly I have a joke about kids' encyclopedia facts, and it's like that never happens if I didn't sit down and try to write a joke about Seymour, Connecticut.
For sure, man.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I was on Seymour, Connecticut's Wikipedia. See, this makes no sense at all right now.
Well, no,
like,
I do get that, guy? Man. I mean, my brain, I always explain to people the way that my brain works. It's like a Wikipedia page. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll get one thought going, and then I'll come across a blue hyperlink. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like 10 hyperlinks away in my brain. I'm like, what? How did I get here?
I think in comedy, it's so important to follow those rabbit holes and like follow those weird thoughts. And like, if you say something weird on stage, like try to just go, because it sucks to like be on stage and bomb and like not do well, obviously. But like, I've been trying to get better about like, even if like something's not going well, like do one more line or 2 more lines, because you might find something. And like when you're in that like kind of like razzed up state, it's kind of like fight or flight. Like you'll think of something, you know what I mean? I want to test myself more, because it's like, if I just write what I want to say word for word, and I just go on stage and just regurgitate it and do an imitation of myself writing earlier, that's not fun. You know what I mean? Like
lack of emotion.
Yeah, you got to put your back against the wall and care about it and like try to figure something out.
Yeah. So when you, I mean, I do a lot of thinking in the shower. I'm happy that you brought that up, because
thinking, jerking off,
dude.
all of it.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, most of what I talk about on this podcast. I
Right.
get my ideas.
Right.
I take long showers, man. I do my best thinking there. I don't know, do you meditate at all?
So I like to do yoga, and sometimes I'll just close my eyes, just sit and kind of thinking. And sometimes when I'm in the car and my mind's racing, I'll just have a little mantra and just say be or be a bunch of times and just try to be there. But this is the douchiest thing I've said since drinking grapefruit water. I have to defend this before we get to meditation. My friend, I asked him for a bottle of water today at work, and he handed me sparkling grapefruit essence.
Ew.
And how wealthy do you have to be?
Is that a sign of wealth these days?
I think it is. This particular friend, because when you're in middle school, you make fun of your friends until they just want to jump off a building,
Yeah.
But we told everybody around school that he only fed his dogs Propel. And people believed it, and that was in 7th grade. I think sophomore, junior year, people would go up to him and ask him, be like, "Is that true?" And he's like, "Shut the fuck!" He's so pissed at us.
I mean, I don't know. I remember whenever I was younger, people would always be like, they loved the sparkling water.
Mm-hmm.
But I never liked sparkling water. It always, any flavor, it always tasted nasty to me.
So Thanksgiving when I was a kid, we would do a sparkling white grape juice with popcorn and sun chips. That was our 8-year-old delicacy.
That's an
That was
interesting
big.
combination.
Oh, I was an original sun chip slut. Still am to this day. So
Sun chips are delicious, man.
yeah, I'm a big fan. Shout out Sun Chips and Bud Light. We're
Bud
trying to get
Light,
sponsors
yeah.
on this podcast. So.
Well,
Right, you are.
yeah, I think maybe not Bud Light though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
Wow.
There's a lot better beers out there.
There is.
Now we're just rinsing Bud Light. Damn.
Well, hey, it's an easy out. You got consistency with Bud Light as opposed to microbreweries, but it is nice.
I mean, honestly, I was just trying to keep it cheap, so I went with the Bud Light for tonight,
oh, I'm not complaining. He did buy the beer. Free beer is the best beer, right?
Yeah, it tastes good.
Yeah.
They did have some, I don't know if it was on clearance or what, but it was Bush. Not even Bush Light, just Bush.
I've never seen just Bush.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It was a sixer for $5.
Oh, dude, that's actually
cheap.
That's a low self-esteem beer.
Oh, yeah.
ouch.
For sure.
I am a fan of just Bush.
I like
I
Bush
always
Light.
called it Bush Heavy,
Yeah,
just because nobody
right.
knows just
Fair
Bush.
enough.
They think
Fair
Bush Light, but yeah, I
I don't
like
even
it.
know what a can would look like.
It just looks the same as the Bush Light cans, but it just doesn't say Light on it.
Gotcha.
I actually have a Bush Light trophy can, a gold can. I pulled a gold can out of a 30 case one time.
Well, don't flex on us, you
What does
rich
that
son of a
mean?
gun.
Do you get a free trip to Anheuser-Busch, or how does that work?
I think it gets you entered into sweepstakes for a hunting trip. They do a different hunting trip every year.
Oh, okay.
I think you can win 4 things, and they're all pretty backwoods country boy things.
So Bush has officially now embraced the backwoods country boy.
I think so. I think so.
Oh, I mean, they should have came to Jackson County 10 years ago. Bush Light is the liquid of champions here.
for sure, man. That's what I grew up on.
I
Yeah.
can do it now, but I remember being in high school, people would be like, "Yeah, we're having a party tonight, free beer," and I'd be like, "All right, cool. What kind of beer you got?" Bush Light, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna sit at home tonight."
That's because it was cheap.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like Bush Light.
It's not cheap
It
now,
goes down
though.
easy.
That's the same thing with
yeah.
That's the same thing with PBR. PBR used to be cheap,
Yeah.
and then everybody started drinking it, and now it's not.
I think the hipsters, man. It was the hipsters
Yeah.
that kind of
I know a lot of
sucked that in.
hipsters in the indie comedy scene are sucking down PBRs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
I
could only
believe it.
imagine.
Yeah, they're $2 for one of the tall boy cans nowadays.
Yeah.
Actually, I might even be wrong. It might be $4 for one of the
I
tall
know
boy
here in
cans.
Seymour, they're. God, I'm going to say it is $3 or $4. I'm pretty sure here in Seymour it's more expensive than a Bud Light.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you guys are trying to black out and not remember the night before, what are you drinking?
Well, this is an easy one for me. I drink the same thing all the time. I'm a big Jägermeister fan.
Oh,
so I drink a
Jäger,
lot of
man.
Jäger, man.
Just Jaeger by itself? Do you mix it with anything?
I got started with Jaeger bombs.
Mhm.
But nowadays I can pretty much just drink it straight. I'll usually chase it with a Red Bull.
Gotcha.
Plus, I like to share. I'll buy a bottle of Jaeger, and everybody's
That's
like,
fine.
ugh. But by the end of the night,
When I-
everybody's drank half of it with me.
I had Jaeger for the first time New Year's Eve when my friend and I went to London to watch soccer. This lunatic Australian dude at this hostel we were staying bought us just so many shots of Jaeger. And I got so drunk off Jaeger. I'd never had Jaeger before.
I love it, man.
It goes down pretty easy.
It does. It's like a black licorice, like candy.
Wow, I'm good at this. Second beer, folks.
Oh, cut him off.
I remember growing up, though, dude, my dad, he always kept a bottle of Jaeger in the freezer. And anytime I'd have a sore throat or a cough or couldn't sleep, go get you a spoonful of that Jaeger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so.
Cool dad. What about you, Mason?
Pretty cool.
I've been sitting here trying to think. I normally, when I was younger, I used to drink very heavily. What am I trying to say? When I first like became of age to drink and like going to the bars, it was like getting totally screwed up every time I went out. But like now that I'm a little older, I've got a wife and a kid now. I'm trying to be
lame.
I still will drink pretty good every now and again, but I'd say I don't know, man. It's usually probably some kind of whiskey.
Yeah.
Crown, Vegas Bombs. That's a big one.
Vegas Bombs.
But I'm a sucker for Tennessee Honey, Jack Daniels. That's some.
I just had that and Diet Coke all last week.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it went down so good.
I bet. I tell you, the last episode we filmed, Allie, we had Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Ooh,
Dude.
I should have came last episode. What the hell? You got me Bud Light? Shows me how much you care about me.
Well,
Jeez.
she brought it for us.
Oh,
Actually.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was her.
It was delicious, though, man.
Yeah. What he was saying earlier, I used to drink pretty heavy too. When I was in the Navy, is kind of where it started. Drinking all the time on the weekends. It's like the only thing you got to do.
Where'd you
And,
go in the Navy?
I was down in Pensacola, Florida.
Ooh.
I had a lot of fun down there, man. Had some really good friends. And
How long were you there?
2.5 years.
So are you out?
Yeah, actually, I was doing an overseas screening and getting ready to go to Okinawa, and they found out I got some junk eyes, and I got diagnosed with, I got diagnosed with tuberculosis. It was latent tuberculosis, so it wasn't like actually active, but I did carry it, and they had to go through and treat me for that, and they think that it had caused, like posterior uveitis is what it's called. And it's like an autoimmune disease where my white blood cells attack my retinas. So I do have scar tissue in my left eye retina, and it's kind of ruined my central vision in that eye.
Dang.
Yeah.
So you were in the Navy?
Yeah, man, I did 2.5 years.
That's insane.
It was fun. I loved it. I had a lot of fun down there.
Made a lot of lifelong friends, I imagine.
As much as I hate it, not a lot of them have really been. I mean, I keep in touch with quite a few, but. I don't know.
God, I didn't mean to make this sad.
Oh, no, for sure, dude.
He's like, well, they
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I've played Call of Duty with a couple of his friends from
Yeah.
Navy, and
I feel like you guys do some crazy drinking.
Oh, dude,
Navy.
you have no idea, man.
You know what I mean? You guys are swimming in the water and drinking Jaeger and.
Oh, dude, I drank. I started drinking pretty young, honestly. You know, I feel like a lot of people didn't care for me in high school because, or even middle school because I was partying already.
Partying in
And
middle
a lot of
school?
people were like,
Dang,
man,
dude.
like.
I was already
what
an
a loser,
asshole
like,
at 8th
he's
grade.
partying and
So if
all
I was drinking it, I can't imagine
Oh my
how
gosh.
insufferable I would be.
Yeah.
partying in middle school. I think that was like I was still like trying to sneak beer out of the fridge and then like fill it back up with water or whatever we drank to make it look like it was.
I
I've
wasn't
been there, done that, man.
I wasn't cool. I didn't drink until after high school.
Really?
Yeah, summer after high school, we all got together. I had like 4 Mike's Hards, 7 Bud Heavies, and I drank so much Fireball. Haven't touched it since.
Ooh.
That's so funny, dude. I had a.
Fireball's the worst. It's that great like first drunk drink because it goes down
Tastes
so
good,
easy.
yeah.
But it's like it's too sweet after that. After
Yeah.
you've blacked out on it.
Man, I was just telling Mason here like last weekend. The first time I ever really remember getting like hammered, I was probably in 7th grade. I think 7th or 8th grade.
Jesus
I know,
Christ.
man. I was young, and I went over to one of my buddies' houses who lived down the road from me, and he lived with his grandma. So we raided her booze
Oh yeah,
cabinet.
that
We
old
found,
bat's not catching
oh,
anything.
dude, no. We stole a whole bottle of like it was a hot damn schnapps,
Oh, yeah.
cinnamon.
Dang.
I just last
That
weekend
would
at
not
my
be easy.
house, I showed you that. And
Yeah.
You're like, I can't drink it.
And me and my buddy got. I mean, we were like 12, 13.
Right.
Got like hammered off a half a bottle of hot schnapps. Damn. I remember puking, dude. I ate like a whole box of Cheez-Its, and I'm just like puking, and it's just Cheez-Its and cinnamon schnapps. And ever since then, dude, I cannot do anything cinnamon.
Oh, yeah.
I had like cinnamon stuck in my nose.
So no cinnamon challenge going on for you.
Oh, no, dude. No way.
I tell you, one thing that there was so much of that went around in high school, because it was cheap, was the Skull vodka.
Oh, my God. This is how cheap my dad is. I was like, Dad, let's make Bloody Marys. I've never had Bloody Marys before. My mom had already had this Bloody Mary mix. I was like, Dad, can you go get vodka? He was like, sure. He bought me like this tall size like Skull. What does that cost? Like 38 cents?
Oh
like you don't even care about me, dude.
It's like any time there was ever hard liquor at a party in high school, it was a handle of Skull vodka.
Ugh.
And dude, I drank so much of that stuff in high school. Like I can't do vodka nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I mean, I can mix it with a drink. It's got to be very well mixed though.
Yeah.
But vodka, especially that cheap vodka, it just ruined it for me at a young age.
Yeah, if I ever do vodka, I want it to be not Skull, a little bit nicer than Skull.
No. There's a lot of really terrible alcohols out there for you.
for
And you know,
sure.
the bad stuff like that, the cheap stuff, that's what kills you.
Yeah.
No, hangover. That's pitiful.
Actually, when I was in high school, we called them bullfrogs, and you'd buy a 2-liter of Mountain Dew, and you had to get either a green or blue Kool-Aid, and you'd pour the Mountain Dew out down to the top of that label, and then you'd put your 2 packets of Kool-Aid in, and then fill it up with vodka, and just cap it and shake it. And we used to make, you could get like a handle of Skull vodka for $13.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You could make 4 of those 2 liters and get like everybody messed up.
Yeah.
And it actually tastes pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't sound
Bullfrog.
terrible, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now granted, you're gonna have a hangover because you're drinking
Sugar,
soda and
yeah,
sugar and
yeah.
Kool-Aid. And
That's why I do diets now. If
Yeah.
I'm mixing, I like diets, no
I really
sugar
thought about that.
and all that.
Yeah, it's a
I
good.
prefer that.
I tell you, it's something I tried one time that reminded me of what you were just talking about, Seth. Is a Blue Dew. Have you ever heard of it?
no, I haven't.
Apparently, it's a mixed drink. So you just take Mountain Dew and like UV blue vodka, and that's it. But it's pretty good. I mean,
I think Mountain Dew is a phenomenal mixer.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It really is.
it's
man.
a surprising one. And you know
Yeah.
what? Another one is Big Red or
See,
red cream soda. Or
your mom had like
Yep.
white or like whipped cream
Yeah,
vodka
whipped
and
vodka.
Big Red.
Yeah,
that
that's her-
tastes insane.
that's her
That
new
does
I need to
thing.
try that actually.
I bet that probably tastes just like a red cream soda.
That's her new thing
Yeah,
now.
it tasted very, very good. I want to hear more about this Navy. So you went to Pensacola.
Yes, went to Pensacola. So actually, I went to boot camp. Great Lakes, Chicago, 8 weeks, and
Was it physically demanding? Or is it more? Is it more like they're like trying to like mentally get you ready? Like, oh, you piece of shit, fight for your. Like, was it tougher mentally or physically?
for me, it was definitely tougher mentally.
Yeah.
Mentally, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through.
Yeah.
But I wrestled all through. Like growing up, I wrestled all through middle
Yeah.
school and high school. So
So you're a fit guy.
honestly, I didn't think that it was very physically demanding. I actually have a pretty funny story. We had to do a watch, right? We had a roving security watch and a messenger of the deck, I think is what they called it. And pretty much you have one guy who stands there for 4 hours straight and watches the front door of the room that you're in boot camp. And this simulates like actual watches in the Navy. And so I was on roving security watch one night, and I had this other kid. He was the messenger of the deck, and he was a little out of shape compared to most of us in there. And so they call them RDCs, and you're assigned like 3 RDCs, and they're the people who are in charge of that division. And a division will have about 55, 60 people in it. I think they actually start out with 80, but by the time you graduate, you're down to like 45.
Right.
And me and this guy, we come in, and it's probably halfway through boot camp. We had just got through like Hell Week, and we were supposed to learn like the chain of command and like everybody's uniform. So like they'd ask you like, oh, a lieutenant commander wears what on his dress blue uniform's right sleeve, and you have to know like exactly how many gold stripes it is and how wide they are and everything.
Right.
I never did any of that in boot camp. I'm going to be honest. So we had our RDC come in, and we were messing off. So he's like, all right, hey, come here, both of you. And starts asking us questions about that, the chain of command. And this guy, he's getting all of them right. And I'm getting none of them. And every time I answer one wrong, both of us have to drop and do like 40 push-ups or something. And I remember,
I'm sure he was hurting.
oh my gosh, dude. So we got dropped probably like 20 times right in front of everybody. The whole division's like standing on their toe line at attention, just watching us. And we got dropped so many times. And I remember he started puking. The kid puked because I couldn't get any of them right, and he could. And the RDC, he's like, seriously, he's like, look, he said, this is your shipmate letting you down and everything, talking about me letting him down. And I laughed. I couldn't help it. I giggled. The guy puked and everything. So I stand up, and he asked me he gets in my face, you think this is funny? You think this is funny? And all this yelling at me. And he's like, he asked me like a really, really simple question, like, what color are the stripes on an airman's dress blue uniform? And it's green. I know that now. But,
I know that now.
Then, dude, I was
Hindsight, baby.
I was so tired, and the kid had already puked twice, and I kind of I looked at him and I rolled my eyes and giggled again. I couldn't help it, dude. I couldn't help it. It was like,
I don't think
I'm
you were
so
cut out for the Navy.
exhausted. I was so exhausted that I just lost like that control, and he burnt me up pretty hard that day. And it wasn't that bad for me though. Like physically, like, push-ups, I could do those all day, but anytime they put us in like air chairs, those killed me, dude.
In April, I was so it was so like tough to be back home. Like it was junior year of college. Like I'm living in Seymour, and that was weird. And I'm doing online classes, and I was like just thinking of like what I wanted to do when like everybody could move around again and everybody was out of lockdown, And I was like, I was looking up like the Air Force, and I was looking up like journalism jobs in the Air Force, and I was like going down that rabbit hole. Like I could end up here, they could send me here, da 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 da. And then I was like, but that would probably kind of suck. Like I'm terrible with authority. I'm doing all that, and like, long story short, like an hour into researching, I was already on Reddit looking up how to like get honorably discharged after a year.
Oh my gosh!
And I was like, you know what? I think this isn't for me. Like if I'm already looking up how to get out of it, I think I shouldn't get into it.
Yeah, that's
But that's how bored I was during quarantine. You know what I mean? I'm like, they can send me here, they can do this, like, and they can. And I was big looking into like them paying for my college and them paying for me to live places. But it's like, I'm terrible with authority.
If you can commission, if you can get in as an officer and commission right away, then I would say, I didn't get any experience as a commissioned officer, but from what I've seen, I think that would be for sure in a heartbeat the way to go. And I mean, base pay, so you can look up like what any rank makes. It's all public domain knowledge, and I think they start out at like $10,000 a month. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's good money.
Yeah, that's great, but
they
just couldn't do it.
The officers don't do a lot. They don't actually even go to boot camp. Mm-hmm. They go to, like, a officer candidate school, and I've heard that it's, like, a little less physically demanding, more mental, and, like, discipline, I guess, is the big one there, which it wasn't hard. Like, the discipline part of it wasn't hard because at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is it's just somebody doing their job.
Right.
Like, there are some people, I had someone who it was a woman, and she brought a lot of her personal life to work, and I remember she was going through problems with, I think, her fiance and her split up, and she had come and she took it out on all of us men all the time. And anytime anything wrong happened, like, oh, so what, you don't want to listen to me because I'm a woman?
Right.
And none of us had did anything to even implement that. That's why we weren't listening to her. But everybody, you kind of just remember that it's a job, and you're on this together, and that was the great thing. Like, if I could go back today, I would. I loved it, man.
Right.
And you make, like, the relationships that you build with those people while you're there is unlike any friendship you could imagine as a civilian. Even though, I left those people and haven't talked to them in forever.
But it's getting sad again.
But there's some people out there, man, like my boy Justin Sweet.
Shout
I'd do
Justin
anything
Sweet.
for sure, dude. I'd do anything for him in a heartbeat.
Anal?
Really? Well, maybe.
You said anything. I mean, come on. We're testing your love.
He's not lying.
How deep is your love?
Now, that was a funny guy on the topic of comics. He was the funniest guy I ever met in my entire life, man. And I don't even know how to explain his...
That's why... Yeah, I could never do what you did there, because that's what's so great about comedy is you just have to rely on yourself. It's like, I'm driving to this open mic, I'm driving back, I need to sit down and write jokes. Like, that's why I can never be in like a band or anything, because it's like I'm too self-centered. Like, I want it to be my vision. I want, like, that's my favorite part about comedy, Because it's like if you're like a track star, it's like if you can't make it to the 100 dash in under 10 seconds, like that's on you. Like you got to do it.
I know we were talking the other night about how it gets really lonely, like in comedy, you know, because, you know, I play in a band and everything, and we travel around together, and we used to have a big van and everything, which we sold because we're just down to 4 guys now, so we don't need a big van. But, I mean, I can imagine, like, how is it really hard to, like, stay awake sometimes? Because, I mean, even with a van full of dudes, like, sometimes I remember driving home from Chicago one night, and it was just, like, it was dangerous.
Yeah,
like I was on the verge of.
I hope my mom doesn't ever listen to this, but I've been very close to falling asleep a lot. I'll call my brother, I'll call whoever, I'll call friends that I haven't talked to in months, like because I'd rather like them be awkward than me fall asleep while I'm driving or something. But no, it does get lonely for sure. But I don't know. I'm a pretty like secluded like guy. Like it's easier to just like retreat into myself and write and do all that stuff, like, but also I think you need to be around people to get material. Like you need to be getting into these everyday situations that people get with. That's why, like, since I started comedy, I've just started saying yes to stuff. Like, do you want to go to this concert? Like, never heard of them, I don't want to go, but yes, like, because something funny will happen. There's something interesting. Yeah, I'm a huge like, will you give me a hand job? Sure, buddy. And then you know what I mean? Like
that's awesome. I wish I was.
It's for material. For material.
Oh,
I'm not using my tongue.
It's not gay.
No, yeah. It's for comedy. No, but like, yeah. But yeah, you got to say yes to stuff just because it's like you gotta live life. Like,
and especially only being in it for 2 years. Is it 2 years, right?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
You got to get out there and. You got to say yes.
I gotta have weird stuff happen to me, like, because it's like I don't have a kid.
Yeah.
I'm not married.
Right.
Like, I don't have a wacky like job. Like, I have to experience life. I have to do all this because when you're like someone that's like an icon like Dave Chappelle, who's like 45 and is super intelligent. Like, I'm 22. I don't even know who I am. Like, I'm not like a social commentary wizard. Like, I have to have life happen to me. I have to have these observations and stuff because. Like that, having these observations is how you establish your point of view, and that's the most important thing to being a comic is establishing like your unique, like comedic point of view on things. It's
good that you're aware of that. I remember when my sister was talking about dating you.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, I remember she said something because I didn't really know who you were. I knew your siblings. You know, I went to school with them, and she was talking about you, and she said something along the lines of, yeah, he does stand up comedy, and I remember just being like. Oh shit! Here we go. Fucking douchebag. You know? And she's like, no, but like, I don't think that. But it's.
Oh, I do. I hate myself.
No, dude. The reason why I say that is because I've met so many people that and here's the thing: I've met so many people that say they're stand-up comedians, and they do stand-up comedy. Yeah. But they all have the same personality. Biggest douchebags I've ever met in my life that try to be funny all the time and try to say one-liners all the time. Because they have to keep up this persona that they're a stand-up comedian, but it's good that you're aware of all these things.
I'd be way too tired if I tried to be funny all the time.
Right.
I think those kind of comedians are the ones that they get their Netflix special and then you never hear about them.
I'm like too moody and too grumpy to try and be funny all the time, and I'm introspect. I think I'm so much more like thoughtful, not thoughtful like sweet. I mean thoughtful like constantly thinking. Like, I'm so much more thoughtful than I am funny. I'm overthinking things and overanalyzing things.
That's good though, and like I said, it's good that you're aware of those things. It's good that you're aware that you're still young, and there's still. I mean, we're all still young, but there's still so much more to life to experience. You know, to be like guys like Dave Chappelle, or
and you don't want to rush anything. Like I enjoy open mics right now. Like I enjoy like people not knowing who I am and being able to like either be funny that night or try something and not be that funny. Like it's enjoyable to like. Have that safety net of like no one knows who I am. I'm young. This doesn't matter.
Right.
Like it's just fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Of course.
Well, from my perspective, like remember this. I have no experience in comedy or anything, but if I had to guess, I would imagine that the things that people probably find funniest is when they can relate to it. It's funny to them.
Yeah.
Or if it's like just something like they're such like, oh, I'm so much better than this guy. Can you believe he said that? That's so funny that he does that, you know?
I think people just want to connect. People want to like, they want to see themselves in you, or they want to laugh at you, or they want to, you know what I mean? Like it's
for sure.
it's all about like connection and stuff. And there are so many like laughter triggers, like embarrassing situations. Like you usually don't want to come off like better than the audience or whatever or anything like that. But tell true stories. Like the reason true stories are funny is not because they're true, but it's because you believe it. And I think audiences can tell when you believe it and when you don't believe it.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna like make something up on stage, like that's fine, but it's like you have to be in it. Like you have to believe it completely. I think audience, like, they can smell fear on you and they can smell BS. They can tell when you're faking something.
Anytime a comedian says, I cannot make this up. Or, I cannot lie about this. You know that they're lying right off the bat. I've heard so many young comedians say that. And a lot of young comedians, I've never actually seen or heard any of your stand-up, so hopefully I'm not dogging on you by saying
consider yourself
this.
lucky.
But I know a lot of the young comedians, like, the only thing that they can really joke about is, like, sex. Like, a lot of the young male comedians.
I do not do that just because I want my mom to want to watch shows. My mom's like a prude. And it's not my slut mom. That's going to be cut out.
We don't do any
editing.
editing.
Open mic comedian talks about whore mother. But
that's YouTube title right there.
Yeah. No, but and it is like, and every comedian that's clean always is like, it's so easy to get a laugh about sex. But it is. Like, sex is, there's so much tension in sex already. And there's so much tension from the word like fuck or anything like that. And that's why, like, lately, I don't really talk about sex at all on stage, and I don't really curse on stage, just because if you can make people laugh without talking about sex and without cursing, then it's like funny and you don't feel like you've cheated. You know what I mean? There's no like, and more than like not wanting to cuss and more than not wanting to talk about sex, I just want to be different. I want people to be like, that set was unique. Like, he's different than everybody else.
For sure, yeah.
And when you go to open mics or book shows or whatever, like, it's people talking about sex. It's because sex is something we all share, something all in common. You guys do it to each other. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
relatable.
It's
like
so,
I said,
yeah.
We just did it before you got here.
Yeah. I thought I smelled something, but
gotta clear the mind.
Yeah, right. But it's like, but yeah, when you can get that, everybody talks about sex. Everybody jokes about sex. Everybody says the F word. Everybody does all that. So it's almost refreshing when you can be like clean and stuff.
And that's kind of the same thing that we do with our band. Is whenever we first started playing, like, we wrote songs, we threw cuss words in there because we thought it was edgy. But it's like, now we don't have any. And I almost feel like, it's just something different. If you have to rely on curse words to sound edgy or to grab attention, just make your stuff creative, make your stuff original, and you don't have to do that.
And just like selfishly, like, clean is green in comedy. Like, if you're not cussing and not talking about sex, you get on TV and you make money. And it's like, and corporate gigs and all that stuff. And I know that I'm like years away from that, and I'm not thinking about that, because if you're in comedy for corporate gigs, like, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
you're not thinking about it, but you are at the same time.
But well, it's not even that. But it's like, I just don't want to like. I wouldn't like. How awful would it be if someone was like, I can't book them, they're too dirty.
Yeah, you're right.
Because no one ever says I can't book them, they're too clean.
Right.
Because if it's a really dirty headliner, they want you to be clean because you're completely different than them.
Right.
And then if it's a really clean headliner, they want you to be clean because they don't want you to walk their audience. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's clean. Being clean never hurts you.
No, not at all.
That makes sense. I don't quite get it. To me, cuss words are just words.
Right.
Cuss like a sailor.
But it's like people get offended so easily. And when I first started, like, I enjoyed offending people, and I think that's just like being like 19 and being like, hey, fuck everybody, I'm so young and full of zest and all that shit. But it's like, it's not fun to offend people. You don't want to offend people. Like, it's not like, and there are people that get offended by the smallest stuff, and it's like, okay, like, enjoy life getting offended by every other thing someone says. But it's like, I don't want to offend people. That's not fun. I want you to laugh really hard. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, I want it to be silly. I want to be silly. This last year, I've been trying to be more silly because it's like, that's funny. Like, you don't have to be talking about like war and murder. Like, just talk about the soap bottle or something. You know what I mean? Like, you can joke about everyday stuff. Exactly. It doesn't have to be sex and rape and race and crazy stuff. Because geniuses like Dave Chappelle can talk about that stuff, but idiots like me are going to talk about the milk jug.
Well, I do see a lot of young comedians also when they do like their improv sets. All it is just them making fun of the audience the whole time,
Right.
you know, and that gets old. I mean,
Yeah, crowd work's dumb.
Yeah,
I don't like like if a heckler says something to me, I'll say something to try and put them down nicely, just so the audience thinks it's funny and like we can move on. But it's like you see all these crowd work like shows and stuff, and they're cool and they're funny, and they're usually like the crowd work stuff that I enjoy. It's because I enjoy that comedian and I know their persona and their point of view. But it's like to just like do crowd work all the time. It's like it's not a skill.
like I don't know if
Just
I don't
bullying.
care about saying his name, but and is it Andrew Scholes?
Mhm.
Scholes, yeah. Now the guy's funny.
Well,
I'm
he
such a
writes
guy.
he writes a lot of great jokes.
Is that the guy that does
But-
a lot of stuff on YouTube? Like it's just all
Yeah.
improv, and he usually
Yeah.
picks somebody out of the crowd.
Exactly.
Well, he does
dude.
improv, but he does stand up too. I think he just got a
His
show on
stand-ups are
Netflix.
good.
Shout out Andrew Schills.
I think I've seen him.
Well,
I'm
he's
pretty sure.
he's really versatile. He does all kinds of stuff.
I do like the guy, but a lot of his improv, all it is him making fun of people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. but
And he's super quick and stuff. I mean, he's a completely different bag. But there are people. See, like I don't run into. If I ever ran into someone that good, I'd just be like worshiping the ground they walked on. But at open mics in freaking Indy and Louisville, it's people that go up there with no material.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nice fucking shirt, asshole.
They're
And it's
trying
like,
to be
oh,
funny.
sick crowd work, bro. Like, kill yourself. Like,
There's a time and place for it, and if you're not good at it, it shows. Working at the haunted house,
Yeah.
I mean, I work outside in the line, you know, in front of people, you know, 1,000 people at a time, and this is kind of something I want to ask you about. If you're doing a show, like, do you go out there with a planned, like, I don't know how you would say it, almost like set list of jokes,
Yeah.
or do you work off the crowds and say like, well, this crowd probably isn't going to like this joke, so I'll move on to the next one? Or
so I used to be like, okay, I'm performing in Anderson tonight. Like, they'll like this black guy joke. Or like, because they're racist. Or like, that sounds bad. Jesus Christ. But like, you know what I mean? Like, or I'm an indie, so this joke is not PC enough. Like, I
Yeah.
used to do that. I also used to write more offensive jokes like a year ago. But like now I'm clean, so that doesn't matter as much. But it's like I used to be like, oh, this crowd seems like they'll like this. Like I was performing in front of bikers the other night. Like they're not gonna love my observational milk jug joke, right?
Yeah.
But it's like fuck them. You know what I mean? I'm doing this for me. Like, and like, and I think it's a good enough joke, and I think it's relatable. Like I'd rather like. Because you're totally sacrificing yourself if you're like, well, I'm going to do this old dirty joke that's not me, but I'm going to do that because they'll like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, why are you doing it? Or why are you driving here for this? You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing it for... And I'm not the type of guy that's like, F the audience. Like, no, you want to give them a good show. Like,
Right.
you're getting paid. They had to pay to get in here. Like, do your best stuff. But it's like, you have to be yourself. Because, like I said, like, audiences can tell when you're not being yourself.
100%.
And, like, you have to be you. But it's like, to change your set list and like cater to the audience, like that seems like a bit much to me. It seems like you're sacrificing like yourself. But then on the other hand, like there are people that are just like, well, like don't make fun of the town. They hate that. It's like, yeah, it's where they live. Why would you make fun of their town? Like people go on stage and they're like, oh, fucking Anderson, like, oh, you couple of meth-headed fuck. It's like, who would like that? Who would think that's funny? Like you just made fun of them to their face right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not nice. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
it's like kind of what I was getting at with the haunted house thing is it's like so many people think haunted house, it's got to be scary all the time. It's got to be in your face, scary. If you're not making people piss their pants, then you're not doing your job right. But the way I look at it is you're going to have people that aren't going to get scared. You're going to have people that aren't scared of a haunted house. So I'm not going to go up to every person I see and try to be scary. So the way I work is I can kind of read the person upon, walking up to them. If they're not going to be scared, I can see that. So I'm going to try to be funny. The way I see it is if you're entertaining a crowd in any way, if you're making them laugh, if you're making them scared, if you're making them mad even sometimes, if you're entertaining them, then you're doing your job. So that's kind of what I was getting at with like catering. Because we don't even do that so much with the band. We're kind of at the point now where we play what we want to play, and if you don't like it, then maybe we're not for you. You know?
yeah. And I think like with comedy, it's like when you're not being funny, be interesting. I think like Chappelle said that or something, but like you can't be getting a laugh every 2 seconds. It's impossible. And it's like there are times, and I didn't understand it when I was 6 months in, but I do now. Like there are times when I'm on stage and it's like, oh my gosh, everyone is listening to me right now. Everyone in the building. Like no one's talking. No one's on their phone. Like just because I'm not getting a laugh right now doesn't mean that I don't completely have them. You know what I mean? So you have to trust yourself that you're gonna get there. But it's like when you're on your way there, like enjoy everyone paying attention. Like enjoy just because someone's not standing up and clapping and going crazy, it's like you have them right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to kind of like trust yourself and be able to like sit in the silence a little bit, because it's like it can't happen every time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So have you ever been at an open mic where someone else comes in and just kills a crowd? Like just kills it.
Oh, there are
like,
people that murder, and like there were people. I was at Fort Wayne a couple months ago, and this dude just like brought the house down. He probably brought half the audience, which helps. But he's like doing local references, like, oh, these people on 49th Street, and everybody's like, 49th Street. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And you're like, what? But like there are people, yeah, they'll kill with like local references. And they'll point to one of their friends in the crowd and be like, "Oh, nice shirt, you fucking loser! Tie those J's," or like some shit like that. Like there are people that kill that way, and when people kill that way, you're like, "Well, they brought the audience." Like, I don't want to kill in Fort Wayne. I want to kill everywhere. So it's like, fuck them. They got their cool like street joke. Like
for sure,
they
making
love
no money.
But there are people that are just murder and that are very good, and it's fun to follow those people. Like my friend that I like to bounce bits with, George Tallarico. Shout out George. Miss Pat, I don't know. She's a famous comedian. She's been on Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
Black woman, kind of bigger, very funny.
I've seen her.
Yeah. So Miss Pat, I think has like we're gossiping now in the pod, but I think she's got a boyfriend or a husband that lives in Fishers. So she would like come to Helium's open mic for like downtime or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're all like doing 5 minutes, and she did like 20, right? And just like murdered, because she's a pro. And like on an open mic, there's someone that's done it for the first time. There's someone that's a year in. There's someone that's 2 years in. And then Miss Pat, who's like 15 years in and done hours and is like killer, has all this killer material. So she like murdered for 20 minutes, and then he got to follow her. And I think he's got to follow her twice. Or no. I have two friends, one, and they've each followed her once or whatever. And my friend David followed her and was like, I bombed my dick off because I just did horrible. I made jokes about how bad I was after Miss Pat, and then I tried to do material, and the audience just hated it. But my friend George had a better time following her, because it's like you just like ride that wave. You're kind of like, and he said he started off with a joke, which I think is great, to just be like, man, you never know who you're going to see, like famous people like me and Miss Pat, you know, like just like something dumb to just be like, I recognize that I'm not Miss Pat, but it's like I'm still telling jokes. Like,
yeah,
you need to get people into your rhythm fast. And it's like, but to answer your question, like I'd rather follow someone that murders than follow someone that's horrible.
Really? So that's what I was just about to ask.
Because if someone's like, and maybe that'll change once I get old, once I'm like further in my career and I'm doing better shows. But like I follow people on open mics that like don't know how to write jokes, and they're just like school shooting, like racism, blah. Like, and it's like, one, you're not edgy, kill yourself. But two, it's like everyone that was paying attention now wants to leave because of you. Yeah. And now I have to go up and waste the first minute of my set because that's what happens. Like, if someone does all that, the first minute of your set is null and void, because they're just going to be getting used to you being a normal person and not being a lunatic that like just said all that stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would definitely rather follow someone that did well, because at least audiences are in the rhythm of like, oh, we laugh at punchlines, we do this, we do that. But when someone goes up there and just like rants for 5 minutes and isn't funny at all,
yeah,
that puts you in a way worse position than someone that's good at comedy, because you want good comedy. You want people to be good. I don't think someone doing good before you ever hurts you.
No, I think it could kind of go both ways though, because like you could go if you go after someone that's got that high energy where they pump up the crowd, everybody's having a great time, and you're following it directly with the same energy, that's great. But at the same time, if you go after someone who just completely bombed, you know, yeah, maybe everybody wants to leave. Everybody's like, oh, this is...
But then when you have a good joke, they're like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't suck ass.
Yeah,
like,
you come on and you've got the energy, then you're building everybody back up. But I can kind of see it going both ways, you know?
And it's all about getting people, like, into your rhythm. So if you're, like, a super low-energy guy and someone was just, like, going crazy and screaming and jumping around, you have to go up there and, like, get the audience used to you. So if you're just like, hello, nice to see you all. Like... At least, like, even if you don't get a laugh, at least you're getting them used to what they're about to hear for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you can't pretend to be something you're not. Like, if I followed someone's crazy high energy and I tried to match that, I never could, because that's not me, and they would be able to tell that it's not me.
Yeah. So you're more of like a laid back comic.
I don't know what kind of comic I am really, but like, I've been trying to get more high energy and more passionate and more, just because I think I was low energy my first year, but just because I was like afraid of looking dumb and afraid of like, because I think I am a passionate person. I mean, I'm all talking, my eyes are going everywhere and all that. Like, I think I am a little bit more high energy in life than I am on stage. So I need to kind of like match that up. I need to be a little bit more high energy, but I'm not like wacky doing crazy act outs and push ups and jumping jacks and jerking off DJs or anything.
So do you do voice impressions?
No, I do not.
I noticed you made a few funny voices.
I do need to get onto that. I'll practice on your sister, and I'll just like do girl voices, or like I talk in a British accent or a country accent, just because it's like you got to practice. You know what I mean? And I've done that a couple of times. One time there was one person in the audience in Fort Wayne, so I just did my entire set in a country accent, just because they don't know that I'm not country. You know what I mean? And it was fun for me. So
that makes sense.
You got to practice during times that don't matter. And that's why open mics are so cool. Like, you got to just fuck around.
That makes sense. Yeah, you said you practice on his sister. I think so. I mean, like, I know, at least, you know, from what I know, I guess a lot of comics hate like, oh, like somebody come up, be funny, you know, be funny. Like, you know, when someone's expecting it, it's like, okay, well, this is, I mean, what is this now? You know, how do you even make a joke to that person? Do you feel like that ever?
On stage, it's cool about like when you go to a place and they're like, this is a comedy show. Because if people want to laugh and they bought tickets and stuff, like, you can go on stage and be like, hello, and you might get laughs just because people are so amped up and juiced and ready to laugh, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, there are people that like are in the mood to laugh, and then there are people in the front row with their arms crossed, and they're just like, make me laugh, pussy. You know what I mean? Like, those people don't want to laugh. And it's kind of like those you said about those people that don't want to get scared. Mm-hmm. It's like they almost will only laugh whenever you say something to them, or whenever you mess up, or if you like drop something. You know what I mean? It's like there are people that you like can't win over, and I'm the worst at this. Like, I could be playing a crowd of 40 people and 38 people could be laughing, but I'm staring at those 2 people that haven't, and just like staring at them as I deliver my jokes, just to like hope that they laugh, you know?
Yeah. Like one thing that talking about the people that like don't want to laugh, or the people that they want you to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, those are the kind of people I like to completely throw off. Yeah. Like, you know, they're the people that want to be scared, so they're acting all hard, and then you walk up and you just totally make fun of them, and their whole group laughs at them. That's the best kind of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like laughter, and I'm sure like getting scared too, but like laughter is such like a social activity, and it's like if you get a lot of people to laugh, like the people that aren't laughing will feel left out. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be a part of the group. So it's like, look at them, like stare at them. I try not to get hung up on the people not laughing, but I always do. I always stare at them and stuff. And that's what's so great about like on real shows, like in real comedy clubs, the light's so bright you can't even make out people's faces, and that completely eliminates nerves. Because then I'm just performing to a dark room in a white light. It's like it's less nerve-wracking to perform in front of 80 people at a comedy club with a bright light, because I just can't see. It's like staring at that thing like from an inch away. You can't see anything. You could be performing in front of 80 people or one person. Yeah. It's less nerve-wracking to do that than to like perform at some shitty bar with no light. There's 5 people, like the lights aren't even turned off. It's not even dark. So there's just like 6 people, and you can see their angry, like dumb reactions when you're doing your jokes and stuff. Yeah. That's sense. So much worse.
That does make sense. Like I said earlier, nice about crowd. Like anytime I go in front of the camera by myself, and then like when I'm sitting here talking to you, I guess you know, call it what you want, a shitty bar or whatever. Right. Yeah, that's for sure. I get that, man. So have you like, have you ever followed anybody like big like?
No, I was supposed to open for Chris Kattan. I think I still am in like January or something. But that's some dude from like SNL. I don't know who he is. I told my friend about it.
Like, so do you know who Chris Kattan is?
Yeah, I'm a big SNL fan.
Okay,
he was also from what?
Night some movie with Will Ferrell,
Night at the Roxbury, and what was that movie? Conky.
I vaguely know what you're talking
TV
about.
Show, I can't. Something my dad. It's older. My dad watched it. I know that. It was like
I was supposed to open for him in March, and then it got canceled because of COVID. And I think we're gonna do it in 2021 sometime or whatever.
That'll be sweet. Definitely want to come to that one.
Yeah, it's all about just like networking, like I said, but like nobody crazy. I've opened for a couple of like headliners at different like small clubs around Indiana, but I don't know if you would know them. But everyone, all these comedians are like super nice because they know what it was like to be performing in front of shitty bars, in front of like 6 people and stuff. But it's, yeah, and that's another reason I want to be clean is because you don't want to just like, I know it's really easy to be self-centered to be like, I gotta do my jokes, this is me, but like when you're opening for someone, like all you have to do is like not walk people, like and not like ruin the show because they're all excited to see the headliner. Like, tell your jokes and get out of there. Like, and that's kind of something that I want to work on like, it's just like performing well enough and just like getting some momentum going because that's how you get good is opening for people and then bringing you on the road and then suddenly you're getting more and more time and then you're headlining, blah, blah, blah. But like, I want to, that's a big reason I want to be clean is because I want people to want me to open for them.
That makes sense. So do you have like a mentor in this? I mean,
no, and I need one.
Wow, I'm just winging it.
Yeah, it's so great to like want to learn anything now these days because it's like if you want to do comedy or if you want to learn how to like make wicker baskets, there's like 60 podcasts about it.
Yeah.
There's YouTube tutorials. There's people talking about it on the news. Like you can learn so much via the internet now.
Oh, for sure, man. There's a YouTube for everything. Yeah. That's crazy. So, like, what are your plans with this? I mean, is this really what you want to do for a career then?
And since I'm like a big baby and never lived anywhere, like I'll probably, when I graduate, I'll probably want to live in Indy for a little bit, maybe with my sister. Maddie, don't make me pay. Because these last 2 years I've been living in Muncie or Seymour, and it's like every gig that I do is in Indy or Fort Wayne or Louisville or like somewhere in Ohio. So it's like I've been logging so many hours in the car and stuff. So it'd be nice to live in Indy and not have to drive as much, you know. Because, man, it's hard on my back. But I want to live in Indy for a little bit and be able to, like, hang with people. Because whenever I have to drive home from a show and go back to Muncie immediately, it's like I'm missing out on, like, the hang and the social and, like, the networking and stuff. But, yeah, definitely want to live in Indy for a little bit, find my feet there, maybe do a baby jump to Chicago and then a jump to New York and see where it goes. New York is the dream, though. They got like 7 comedy clubs, thousands and millions of people that want to hear jokes and stuff. New York is a place where you would get good at comedy.
That makes sense. Do you listen to? You ever listen to Joe Rogan?
I have.
So have you? I know he's pretty adamant on that New York's dead.
That New York is dead?
Yes. I know. Wow.
Well, see, and that's the other thing we haven't even talked about, but like COVID, there was a completely new wrinkle and stuff. Like, right now, I think it's better to be a stand-up comedian in Indiana than it is in New York for stage time because like we're so much more opened up.
Oh, for sure.
Than a place like New York. But yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too. I'm in no rush. Like, I'll probably stay in Indy until things open back completely. But yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea about COVID and all that stuff. I don't watch the news because I like to be happy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't watch the news because it's all biased. There's no unbiased news source.
But yeah, you're telling me I'm a journalism major. But no, definitely like I just want to stay in Indy and Indiana and stuff until things blow over. But if there was no COVID, no nothing, like I would want to be in New York because there's 7 comedy clubs and 1 billion open mics and 1 billion people and people want to see you do stand up and on like here before COVID I could get on stage like 5 times a week, 7 times a week. In New York, you can get on 5 times a night. And, like, that's the only way you get good doing stand-up is just, like, reps, like, as much stage time as possible.
So how do you do that then? 5 times a night? Is it just do a set here and then leave and go to the next comedy club
immediately? Yeah, they got the
immediately?
Subway. They got comedy clubs. They got open mics. They got everything.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. That
and
would be...
And
do you think that would be intimidating?
Doing
5 times in a night?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know about intimidating, but I think it would help you develop bits so much faster because it's like you go on stage with an idea at 6 p.m. You do that, you do horrible. Then at 7, there's another open mic. You do that, you do a little bit better. Then one at 8, then one at 9, then one at 1 a.m. Like suddenly you sucked at the beginning, but then by like the 5th time you did it, like you did incredible.
That makes sense.
I feel like you would just develop material so much faster.
Yeah, especially you said you pretty much write everything down.
Yeah. I try to write everything down close to word for word. I've been trying to do a little bit better about a little bit more leeway and a little bit more just like talking it out. That's why, like, when I have a funny story, I'll just like call and tell somebody about it, just so I can say it out loud a couple times before I bring it to the
for
stage.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Like if I try to think script, read word for word, I just can't do it because whenever I mess up, I feel like I messed up, But if I just kind of wing it, like you can usually fix any kind of mess up that you have, which is more words.
Yeah.
So I believe that.
Fair enough.
So who are your big idol? Like who is it that you got like a top 5?
Oh, I get obsessed all the time. I don't answer the Pryor or Carlin question because that's just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But like comedians that I love to listen to, that I'm listening to right now, like I think like Nate Bargatze is a great comedian. If you've never watched him, he has a special on Netflix and a half hour on Netflix and something on Comedy Central. Nate Bargatze's great. Gary Goldman is a fantastic writer. I think Gary Goldman should be more famous than like Kim K and Ariana Grande combined.
Oh, for sure.
But
I mean, I don't even know what
yeah,
they're famous for, and nobody does.
But you know what I mean. But comedy is so niche. I love Gary Goldman. I've been watching the hell out of James A. Caster. I love Mark Norman and Sam Morrill. They're great. But the first comedian I ever saw live was Daniel Tosh because I was a huge Tosh.0 fan.
I love Tosh. Yeah.
I saw him at IU and he was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember when he did that. He had that whole season where it was college campuses.
Yeah.
IU episode. That's awesome.
We saw him at IU my senior year and it was incredible. And Greg Hahn opened for him. Greg Hahn was insane. I mean, no one's ever heard of him, but he freaking performed like he was on coke and it was amazing. And we
He
still,
probably was.
He probably was. Some of my friends, this has been 5 years ago, we still talk about some of Greg Hahn's jokes. Like, that's how important it is. But yeah, no, I love so many comics. Like, I listen to comedy the way people, like, listen to music and stuff. Like, I listen to so much. I love it. I'm obsessed. Like, I was watching comedy with Bailey the other night, and I was, like, saying it before they even said it. And she's like, how the heck do you know that? It's like, because I've seen it 60 times.
Yeah.
I'm a lunatic.
Dude,
like,
I get that, man. I feel like it does take a special person to listen to stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of stand-up comedy. And luckily, my girlfriend, she's kind of, I don't know if she was before, if I got her into
but
it.
she is now,
but
yeah.
I do. I throw on, like, we'll be in long car rides. We just we drove down to Florida in the early fall. And, dude, the whole time I listened to, like, a 3-hour podcast episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then I listened to, like, 3 hours of stand-up comedy and back to back. And she was right there laughing with me the whole time. But I can't believe how many people, like, I can be like, oh, man, I was watching this the other night. And, it'll be someone's show, stand-up comedy. And they'll be like, what? Who is that? Like, what?
Right.
You watch stand-up comedy? That's so weird. Like, it's not weird. I know how to enjoy my time, I guess.
I like this niche. Like, I like that, like, it's not like being an actor or like being a musician or whatever. No offense, musician. No. But I just like that it's a little smaller, a little dirtier. Like, I've gotten offered coke and shrooms and like there's always free beer. I like that it's dirty. It's at nightclubs. Yeah. There are people smoking cigs in the building. Like, cause I'm so like anti-pretentious. Like, I don't want it to be art. I just want it to be funny and people laughing. And that's why I don't do dirty stuff, but like I don't mind when people are dirty because like you can say whatever you want. That's the whole point of this. It's fun and no one can tell you what to do, and you can do whatever you want and just be true to yourself and have fun.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I lost whatever I was going to next. But yeah, I get that. Like in reference to, there's a specific bar I really like to go to. I'm not gonna say the name, but it's because you go in there and it's like got that total dive bar atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
you can just
it's dirty.
do whatever. It's dirty.
Yeah.
It's people are wild. So like when I get wild, it's like nobody's looking at me weird.
Right.
But I have been to pretty much every bar in Columbus. Bar hopping up there, and they don't like it when you get wild up there.
Columbus is a weird
They're
crowd,
very
man.
tame, yeah.
Especially for music, because like Columbus was always one of my least favorite places to play music because you can play anywhere around here, even here in town in Seymour, and the crowds are great. People like live music, but you go to Columbus, and every single bar, I've played at almost every bar in Columbus, but every bar you play at, it's just a bunch of people sitting in booths just like watching, and then at the end they'll clap, and it gets so boring. It's like there's no energy. It's
right.
I'm sure comedy's the same
They're
way,
too
but
prim and proper.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm sure comedy's the same way, but whenever I'm playing music in front of people, I like to feed off the crowd. The crowd gives me energy.
Yeah. And that's the worst, being in front of people that like that have never been in a comedy audience, and they're just like, I'm just on my phone, I'm just talking. But go ahead and do your thing. It's like, no, this isn't like no, you need to be paying attention. Like you need to be paying attention to every single word. Because like I need laughs. If I don't get laughs, I think I'm not doing well.
Right.
But people like think that like I'm not Netflix. Like I'm really here. You can't be on your phone and like texting and like getting up and going to the bathroom.
It's
like
a new age thing, man.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with concerts.
And people's attention span is just like dog doo doo. So.
Oh yeah.
They do say that I think on average 1 in 11 is a millionaire in Columbus. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Really?
But I didn't know it was that high. I just actually found that out probably like 4 months ago.
I gotta start jumping in front of cars in Columbus.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no kidding. Well,
That's insane.
yeah. I mean, just from my job, and we're based out of Columbus, and the guy who owns our company is a big multimillionaire, and picked up a little bit on like the politics of the
We're getting you fired.
demographic up there. Yeah,
Seth thinks he could beat your ass, boss. That's a
Wow.
multimillionaire.
He'd never watch this.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Oh, he takes a gentle trip from time to time.
Maybe. Yeah, to the coffee shop.
Yeah, maybe. Good Lord.
Well, we're coming up on hour and 15 here.
Yeah, might be a good time to cut it then.
I mean,
Your wish is my command.
You have anything you wanna say?
any plugs or anything you want to
Yeah,
promote?
you got social media.
Support live comedy. Follow me on Facebook. I post about shows, kinda. It's weird posting about shows right now though, because like some people are gonna be like, "That's great, you're doing comedy," and then some people are like, "COVID, you're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
So I've just been like wearing my mask and trying to go to as many shows as possible.
Believe it or not, I actually had somebody tell me that if I want to continue doing this podcast right now, I need to put like a plastic partition up because some people might not want to come on.
Oh no, that would ruin the sexual tension between us. Seth.
Yeah,
Come on,
of course, dude. I'm all about that.
Although
hitting it raw, eye to eye
Hey, that's-
contact.
We've got these pop filters, that'll
Yeah.
absorb the COVID. I think.
the plastic right here though, I could see your breath, like it could fog up. That would be hot. I'm like drawing hearts and stuff in it. You know what I mean? That could be a turn on.
I could see that. Yeah.
Fogging up the glass. But no, nothing to plug. I'm terrible at comedy. I
gotta-
don't know why you listened this last hour. If
well-
you've made it this far,
Is there anywhere
Props to you.
is there anywhere people can go to like see?
Yeah.
your
What's like your
comedy?
home?
I
your home
posted-
club.
I posted a little bit on YouTube just to try and get into comedy festivals. Don't watch it, but you can search it and try and find it. Home club. I perform at Gutty's Comedy Club a lot in Greenwood, Indiana. I like that. I always go to the open mic in Helium and Indy. Helium's a great club. A lot of comedy clubs are dying right now. It's kind of sad. A lot of places that I like to go to are canceled. I'm always in during school when I'm at Muncie. I'm always going to Anderson Kettletop Comedy Hour at Kettletop Brew House in Anderson. I like to go there. Honestly, just like DM me and be like, I want to come see you, because everybody sees you and they're like, oh, I want to come see you, but then they never like follow through, and that's fine. I don't want you to see me either. I'm terrible. But if you actually want to see me, DM me and like bug me and annoy me until I feel that less awkward about it, and then I'll hit you up.
Do that on
fair.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, Grindr, anything.
Grinder. All right.
Threw that one in there for you.
My favorite.
Well, thank you
Seth,
for.
you want to run us out then?
Yeah, thank you for.
It was
for
great to
coming
be
on the
here,
show,
dude.
man.
It was great to be
Appreciate
here.
it.
I appreciate you.
Good,
It was
interesting
fun.
conversation you don't get to have every day.
Fair
Don't know
enough.
too many comics.
That's what podcasts are for. I'm not a good one, but
For
I am
sure.
a comic. But
Griffin Sciarra again, everybody,
thank you.
and thank you for joining us on this gentle trip.